I've always heard that the story of Valentine's Day was about a priest who healed a young girl from blindness. And he was invited to Rome, but when he tried to convince the Roman emperor to convert to Christianity, he was executed by Emperor Claudius II. Just before he died, he sent the girl a note saying, "From your Valentine." Another story says that priest Valentine was caught helping Christians who were being thrown to the lions and was executed by Emperor Claudius II. Still another story, Valentine was marrying Christians to save the men from serving in the Roman army. And when he was discovered, he was executed by Emperor Claudius II. One thing is certain, Saint Valentine was executed by Emperor Claudius II for the sake of love. Not the candy and flowers kind of love, but the love that stands up against tyrants and lions and war. When Jesus takes Peter and James and John up the mountaintop, he's trying to teach them something about this Saint Valentine's kind of love. In one brilliant moment, Peter and James and John see Jesus in this bright, shining light of God. But in the very next moment, a cloud overshadows them, and God is not all bright and shiny lights. God is also in the shadows. God says to Peter and James and John, "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." The command to listen to Jesus isn't about listen to his parables and listen to his commands. No. Just before Jesus leads his disciples up the mountain, he tells them that he will be rejected and that he will suffer and die and then rise again. But Peter cannot accept that the Messiah would suffer and die. That's not what happens to messiahs. And he rebukes Jesus. No, that's not going to happen. But Jesus calls him Satan. It's not good. And there's much misunderstanding. So Jesus tries to explain it further, and he says to all of his followers, if you follow me, you have to be prepared for trouble. If you want to be my disciple, you must take up your cross and follow me. That's what God is talking about on the mountain. Now, taking up one's cross, we often hear, is that's just my cross to bear, my aching back. Oh, that's just my cross to bear. As if bearing a cross is accepting some pain that we just have to put up with because somehow it's just my cross to bear. But no, that's not what it means. Taking up one's cross means standing up to cruelty and injustice, to ignorance and dishonesty. Taking up one's cross means taking on a debtor's prison or the stoning of women, leper encampments, arrogant religious leaders. Taking up one's cross means taking on and standing up against the spread of the virus, wearing 2 masks. It means taking on and stepping up against the spread of hatred, of loving people too hard to love. Taking up the cross means standing up to white supremacy, even though we know it's us. And we take up our cross, even though we know we very well may suffer for it. This is love. Saint Valentine's kind of love. It's so interesting to me that the confluence of events from this day and this week, we're celebrating love. But it comes at the end of a long week, overshadowed by images of fear and people engulfed in chaos and violence and conspiracy theories. And all of that is overshadowed by the abuse of power and abnegation of responsibility, at least. And all of that is overshadowed by virus and variants. And yet, over and above everything else, we are overshadowed by God's love. Now listen about overshadowing in the history of the Bible in our faith. At the moment of creation, God called to the darkness that overshadowed the face of the deep, and God said, "Let there be light." And there was light and life. And when the angel Gabriel came to Mary and she asked how it would be that she would bear a son, Gabriel said, "The power of the Most High will overshadow you, and you will bear a son, and your son will give life to the world." And then a cloud overshadowed Peter and James and John, and there came a voice, "This is my son, listen to him." When we were overshadowed by God, there is new life. Taking up one's cross is facing pain to heal and rise again. Love, like Saint Valentine. How do we do that? Recently, Audie Cornish did a piece on NPR on families of people who have become followers of QAnon. And she talks with this man named Tyler, who was looking for his dad on the television on January 6th because his dad had gone to the Capitol. His sister had texted him, "Dad is driving to DC and all his guns are loaded." Now, Tyler wonders how his dad got caught up in the conspiracy theories and taken in by the lies and filled with anger. He was just a conservative and not like this. He knows his mom and dad have been cooped up in the pandemic and have been reading on the computer a lot. And they've gone to different websites and they have gotten caught up in the fervor and vitriol and going down the rabbit hole. Tyler says he used to be able to talk to his dad, but now he just feels like he's lost him. So what are family and friends called to do? Professor Donegal Young studies conspiracy theories, and she says when people get caught up in groups like QAnon, the attraction isn't about information, it's all about emotion and identity. People are manipulated into feeling accepted and important and special and belonging to a group. Arguing, explaining, presenting evidence will not change their minds. So Professor Young says, the only thing that works is love. How hard is that? So Young says, we love by finding ways to connect through emotion and identity. So you say to your sister, "Hey, do you remember that time we baked muffins and threw them at our little brother? We had so much fun as sisters." Emotion and identity. We had fun as sisters. Or text a friend saying, "Hey, I saw this picture of us at that costume party. Do you remember in Hastings Hall in seminary? We dressed as twins. We were like brothers." Emotion and identity. We dressed as twins. We were like brothers. Taking on people who have been trapped in such groups can be facing anger and hurtfulness. It's taking up a cross, taking on the evil of the people who have manipulated others, warped identities, divided families, destroyed friendships, and split a nation. This is taking up one's cross. It is love, like Saint Valentine. So, my friends, how will you listen to Jesus this week? How will you love bravely and boldly? What cross will you take up? Maybe you will take up and take on the virus, resist it. Remind people now to wear 2 masks. Sign up to get the vaccine. More importantly, if you've gotten it, help someone else sign up. Send a Valentine to somebody who's stuck in their home. Stand up and take on the cross of loneliness. Can any of us just email someone in our lives who looks different or thinks differently than we do? Like, I'd like to get to know you better. Can we Zoom coffee? We may bear the pain of hearing hard truths. We may have to risk saying things that are wrong. We might have to risk being embarrassed. But that's what it means to follow Jesus. So, listen to Jesus. Take up your cross. Love someone like Saint Valentine. Make someone your Valentine. Amen.